turn your dial. Dapper Don's here to make you smile with a co-host sharp and riff so true. We've got the laughs, the rants, the view. What's going on? Oh, what's the word? Indy's the city where we'll be heard. From Monument Circle to Broad Ripple on. What's going on with Dapper Don? So grab your coffee, Hoosiers, and let's get to it. 'Cause we're in the house!
What's going on? It's Dapper Don, and I'm excited to welcome you all back. You gotta love anime. Such fluid animation, such deep and heartfelt stories, such brutal action, and such bountiful breasts. You cannot overstate the influence that anime has had on culture all across the world, but its influence on Western culture in particular is fascinating. For the most part, this show has kind of stayed on the sidelines when it comes to, the power scaling stuff, the One Piece theories, the Dragon Ball dick sucking. And trust me, it's not for lack of interest. I was just looking for someone who was just as deep down the rabbit hole as I was. Someone who also has no way out because he knows too much. So I introduce to you one of my fandom brain counterparts, the host of the MC Anime podcast, Maison Collawn. Great to have you, bud.
How you doing? Thanks for being here.
Absolutely, absolutely. When you said that you also like to do deep dives on fandom, I was very intrigued because I've always wanted to talk about this stuff, but like if you bring on your average anime fan, they're not gonna know what the fuck you're talking about.
Exactly.
Like the average everyday, sometimes I'll watch like Dragon Ball, a couple episodes every month. They're not gonna know what you're talking about, but you know the pain.
Oh, I know everything. I've done blogging, I've done podcasts, done live streams, so I pretty much have, oh gosh, 400 to 600 posts just about anime
Yeah,
on Facebook
and
alone.
that's some impressive stuff right there. That's wow. And before we get into things too, we do I do want to check your papers a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
qualify you a little bit.
Sure.
What about anime fandom and just fandom in general do you find yourself hating the most?
What I hating the most? I
Yes.
would just say it's the weird toxic communities that keep forming and try to cancel people for the wrong reasons. Like,
Mhm.
it's quite dumb when I hear somebody say, "Well, they shouldn't do live action because live action sucks." I was like, "Well, it's not all live action sucks. There's a lot of Japanese live actions that are actually pretty good, and they're actually like
Well,
B tier."
and
But
then
it's
that take does
usually
it.
the problem of Hollywood taking the live action and
Yes.
not actually taking the source material. It can be done right. It just has to be very careful attention to detail.
Right. And what's interesting about that take is that anime is often considered more mature because of how close it is to real life how people move, you know. So
Yes.
I genuinely don't get that take because I always thought that anime, like taking an anime and adapting it into live action, being able to do that, I always thought that was like an anime fan's dream. But I guess not. I don't know.
Because anime fans are so hard to please. For example, when you have comic books to a movie, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier because the way comic books are drawn, everything is linear to the character, to the transition, to the movie. Anime is not as linear. It's more, it's a visual media from an already comic book source. Adapting it from the comic book source, which is the manga, to the anime to another tertiary source can be a problem because of the fact they're trying to copy the anime visuals, but also keep intact with the manga. But the anime is not always intact with the manga sometimes. But at the same time, there's not enough airtime to actually air the difference between the live action and how much time the anime actually covers and the manga as well.
So you would say that the problem is that there's too many middlemen because, like, you brought up a good point, with like your DC comics, your Marvel, your Image comics, you're just kind of going straight from the comic book to the adaptation. But like a lot of people don't like there when an anime comes out, a lot more people see the anime first than they do the manga.
Yeah.
And so when they make a movie based on the anime, you're basically it's like if I talked about you and then I
Mhm.
talked about you to someone else and that person went and made a biopic on your life based on what they said to someone else. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a couple years ago, two Netflix live action that kinda, like, did not as well. One was
Mhm.
Bleach, looked absolutely weird, cosplay, weird mashed up photos, whatever you wanna call it, and then Death Note, which is a little bit better, but still is odd and goofy looking in the CGI.
Mhm.
But then
Okay.
you go to, like, classic live actions like Gintama and Rurouni Kenshin, and you're like, "Well, dang, if the entire Rurouni Kenshin series and the same actor in One Piece is playing the samurai from that series, is doing really well, then what is the attention to detail? What does that series have that the other live actions don't?"
Right, right. And that's a very interesting point. I didn't even know that Bleach had a live action. I guess it was that bad, huh?
It wasn't it was very odd. Death Note was better, I would say. I would say Death Note live action is similar to Cowboy Bebop in it being accepted like a 7 out of 10, kind of. I would give Death Note a 6 out of 10, but, like, the Bleach one, 4 out of 10, just because it looks so odd and so oddly placed, and the timing was off, and it just looked like ripped off convention costumes. I don't know. It's so
Right.
weird that it doesn't even look like the Force arc, which the movie took inspiration from for the Soul Reaper arc. Yeah, before they go to Soul Society.
And I kind of want to I don't know, I think a lot of that is because the creators of the manga weren't like directly involved. Like okay, the One Piece live action. I feel like that's a lot better than a lot of live action. I feel like that one
It's
was
because
held to a
Oda
higher
is involved.
standard. Yeah,
Oda's
directly
involved in
involved.
every single production. He literally did not sign off unless he had that directly said in the contract. Like, he was very iffy about live action,
Mhm.
and if he wasn't involved, he wasn't gonna sign off on and sell it. He was not gonna make another product of One Piece that's not gonna be what he wanted.
Well, it's because Luffy's his baby, right? So he would know
Yeah.
Luffy's complexities. He would know his ins and outs. He's not just goofy, stretchy rubber man. He's also, if you fuck with him, he's the most dangerous being on the sea. And you have to
Yes.
balance that.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
If
like,
you can't, then it's like, what's the point to have the live action if you don't go back to the source material? At least try to retrofit it to fit the screen. One Piece is not an exact transition of an adaptation, but it's done enough source material research to keep basic plot elements similar. Not say the
yes.
same, but definitely enough to the CGI on the rubber doesn't look as bad. It actually looks kinda natural. Looks a
Mhm.
little bit better than Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four. So, like, the stretching actually looks realistic, which is awesome, which is probably
Yeah.
the biggest sale, but then you also have a really good solid actor who did live action fighting samurai movies before from Rurouni Kenshin. So, you really have a strong actor for a sworder that actually has practice with swords on screen. So, the
Okay.
dubbing choice for the actors are well lit too. They actually match the skin color of the character presented as well. That's what I
Yep.
also like.
Because I know that Oda like released the canon nationalities of what these characters would be if they
Yes.
lived in a world where it was divided into countries like that. And I mean, I think Oda may have thought about that after somebody asked and not really in the moment because
Yeah.
Usopp definitely does not appear to be of African descent, but
But he can be
he
because
can
of his
be.
hairstyle, the ethnic hairstyle, and
Mhm.
the, nature. But I'm not really bothered by that for the simple fact that there's a lot of people that said Usopp was a dark-skinned character for the longest time, so, like, okay, cool.
Right. I mean, I'm fine with him being light skinned, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's I just like how they took that. They actually did some research because Oda forced them to. So they weren't just gonna come out with funny,
Yeah,
stretchy rubber man. We're gonna throw in a couple Deadpool jokes and be done with it. No, y'all gonna follow my book exactly as it is written. You
yeah,
know. So and speaking of powers in general, kind of want to talk about power scaling. Now,
yes.
for the uninitiated, power scaling is what happens when a show's not releasing enough new content fast enough and
Yep.
people get bored. They start comparing random characters and random franchises. I mean, at first it was mostly anime, but then cartoons, live action stuff, and video games joined the party when people got tired of their faves losing to Goku. And the idea, I guess, is that it proves how powerful their favorite MC is, which I guess makes it the better anime. I don't know what the point is, at least not in a way that can be expressed
Power
verbally. You
scaling
just
is pretty bad in Dragon Ball.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you kind
Uh,
of have to be there.
ugh. There's a couple of shows that had power scaling issues. Like, later seasons of Naruto, especially Shippuden, was, like,
Seven
getting
Deadly
so
Sins.
was getting so drawn out. Seven Deadly Sins in the later seasons also got drawn out. You're explaining too many characters all at once, and, like, there's too many demons, and the 12 Deadly Sins, the Ten
Yeah.
Commandments, just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
And I
it's like,
mean, power levels were
okay.
the worst thing that was added to that anime.
So the fights for the Ten Commandments was weird because the Ten Commandment power can also be used against them if they use it wrong. So like, okay. Then the
So,
mashups was super odd because it
yeah.
kind of made sense, but it didn't.
Well, and then on top of that, you start thinking about stuff like, oh, yeah, these 10 commandments are absolute, except when Escanor decides that he wants to aura farm. Then all of a sudden it's not.
Yeah. That entire fight with Escanor in the bar in the cave was so odd. They ended up beating him, but he matched the flaw of the Ten Commandment to actually beat them. So like what?
Right. Or when he's like, why would I bear any hatred for somebody so weaker than myself? It's like that moment's cool, but in practice, you don't fight someone to the death without hating them at least a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like that just doesn't
No.
make
In
it's
anime,
like
there's a lot of characters who will fight you and not hate you and sympathize with you. What do you think Talk No Jutsu does all the time? All these
right.
people
I
you
mean,
should hate, but you don't.
I don't know, but it's like Escanor goes out of his like it's different if Naruto's like, I don't want to kill you, man, at first, and then he just goes in and has to do it, right? But Escanor is
Yeah.
like trying to kill his opponent from the jump. If you're trying to kill your opponent from the jump, you hate them or
No,
you hate what they represent.
he's just so prideful that he's the better opponent to anybody else, so he goes full power on everybody.
Okay, I guess that makes some kind of sense. Seven Deadly Sins, I guess, just kind of I guess it's just not my kind of thing because it relies more on the rule of cool than anything for me overly compelling.
Well, yeah, and it's also a shorter anime, so, like, it has multiple seasons, so you can catch up on the episodes, but at the same time, they're not super long, so, like,
No,
I don't know, I feel like there should be 25 episodes sometimes when some of the seasons only have, like, 12 episodes. Uh,
but regardless, the problem I've always had with power scaling, and I'm sure you can agree on this one, is that it
yes.
relies too much on characters at their max potential and power, without taking into account how much control they have of their power, if they can even just summon that power on demand, how quickly
Yes.
some characters escalate to full power versus how slow some characters like to take fights, where the characters are narratively, because depending on how the character was acting in the last arc we saw them in, they wouldn't even engage in certain fights. It's like, yes, Naruto versus Ichigo would be an interesting fight, but as of where Naruto is in the story right now, that fight's not happening.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole bunch of factors that don't, you know, and also the whole prep time argument. it's like you do realize that every single character who knows how to fight and is a master of their art would benefit from prep time, right? Not just Batman.
Mhm. I know.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's stuff like that where it's just like you don't think Goku would benefit from prep time. You do realize that that's one of the smartest fighters in any piece of media that isn't a scientist, right?
Well, he always just fights the character. He has no form of fighting. There is form of fighting like Frieza and all this other stuff that he's committed to beat again, or really enough have to fight again? Like, I don't know. Dragon Ball is
Dragon Ball is
so out
weird.
there with like different Friezas and this version and
Yeah.
that version. I was like, and then
Super
also
Saiyan hair dye.
don't forget the fusion thing and the gorilla and form and depth form. How many forms you gonna do? Like Super Saiyan fusion, and you got Super Saiyan, Hyper Saiyan. I was like, okay, all right, next.
Exactly, exactly. But for this section, I thought it might be fun to do what I like to call story scaling, which identifies who would win based on canon information, not based on the fact that they tanked an earthquake level punch when they were gifted a magical power that they used once and never again. So we'll start
Okay,
with we'll start with something basic but still kind of debatable,
all
and
right,
then we'll escalate.
sure.
Mario versus Sonic.
Okay, so well, let's see. Mario versus Sonic, you had to go with the upgrades and their speed hacks. All right, so oh my gosh, Sonic has the speed, so that would beat Mario. Mario has the upgrades to combat the speed, but at the same time, the type of villains, the two main villains is Bowser and Mr. Eggman. I think you have to go with at least villain-wise, Super Mario, because Super Bowser is just crazy insane for how many feats that he actually has.
Right, right.
Not
I
to
think
like say that Mr. Eggman is bad, it's just like he's a human creating technology, and Sonic is not as smart as Super Mario, so he always gets in the traps and then has to get out of it later on. So that's kinda why Sonic has a hard time with Mr. Eggman, is because Mr. Eggman is more intelligent.
okay. I'm
So
kind of along the line of thinking with you. I will bring up though that, Eggman has made some gadgets that have like, you know, gone beyond, time and
I
space, and
know,
he's like
I know.
modified gods and stuff. But then you got Mario who's just like it's like, okay, you have this man who's making me things, and then you have Bowser who can just have Kamek turn him into that thing and then destroy a universe.
Yeah, because in the game, because Bowser also has level ups. He could gigantic, small, metal, flipping fire, you name it, he can have it, the same as Mario. So
He goes Giga and he can basically solo all of video games.
so it, like, it takes sometimes the entire universe of Super Mario to face him, so Super Mario is just like, it's just harder to face him because the
Right.
shell, the spinning, and, also at the same time, Sonic has to counter back a villain like Super Bowser when he's spinning in the fireball, and he
Yep.
spins super fast and he's super
Yep.
gigantic. So like,
And it's not as if Mario and Sonic aren't relative in speed. Sure, Sonic is objectively faster, but I feel like with Mario being scalable at the very least,
yes,
and with him, I believe, having a higher level of strength, just based on, like, if we're going off of Smash, which I consider canon, Mario has a lot better knockback than Sonic.
true. Because Sonic doesn't can hit hard, but Super Mario literally hits so hard that you're taken back, or whatever upgrade he's using at that time is base power plus the upgrade.
Yep. And that's not even considering that if Mario really wanted to catch Sonic lacking,
Hmm.
he'd scattershot. I mean, he can do that where he can just change whole areas into whatever. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
the Mario and Luigi Bros attacks are. He's literally taking over the arena and scattershotting you.
Yep. But it's also been proven by canon that Super Mario has more wheelhouse to actually probably win against Sonic anyway, so
Right.
it's
Yeah.
the super versatility, the power-ups, and the ability to survive, counting the speed to take potential victory.
Yep. Because sure, he can get confused and you may be able to run circles around him. But you also have to consider, too, and I just mentioned this too, who escalates the fight sooner, because it could go either way depending on who escalates sooner. And usually, Mario does not play with his food.
No, he usually will take the fight to you. Sonic usually delays the fight until he actually absolutely needs to.
Yep. It's like the
And
only
also,
time Sonic
Sonic doesn't
really
take it seriously.
no, the only time he really locks in is when his friends are in danger, right? But Mario,
Yes.
any fight you're in with him, he's locked in. Doesn't even matter if it's a sparring match.
Mhm. Exactly. He's gonna take it
Mario
seriously because it's just how Mario is.
Yeah. It's Mario Kart is basically to his line of characters a friendly sparring match, and that dude will still knock you into fucking lava when he gets the chance.
He'll knock
Like,
you
it's
out.
not
You go off screen.
Yep, yep, it don't matter if you Peach, if you're Luigi, it wouldn't matter if you if you were Baby Mario, you get knocked in that lava because you can survive it,
Exactly, because video game logic doesn't make any sense.
right? Okay, okay. I like how this conversation is proceeding. So let's escalate here.
Alright.
Goku versus One Punch Man. This is all over TikTok, so we got to talk about this. But we're going to talk about it in a story sense. In a story sense, who's coming out on top in this battle?
Well, One Punch Man is OP in his universe,
Mhm.
but, like, if Goku is compared to Superman, like as they say in the Chinese version, yeah, I think the Super Saiyan's gonna take it regardless of what One Punch Man can do. It'll be a good fight, but, like, I don't it will be a good fight, but the longevity of the fight, I feel like Saitama will just eventually break down from the fight
Right. Well, I'll tell
because
you,
he's only human.
yep. Yep. Now, the thing that's interesting about these two characters is that they're both characters who won't escalate the fight until they're 100% sure that you are worthy of it, right?
Yeah, so they're gonna
So,
play around for a bit,
yep,
see each other's strength, and then there's also a possibility they don't end the fight. They could just be friends because they
they
don't
could
see
just
any
keep fighting
malice.
infinitely and just like
Yes, but they keep fighting, but they also are not malice against each other, so they don't really necessarily need to defeat them either. It could
nope.
end in a draw. I really feel like that fight could end in a draw because 'cause they're both not taking it seriously.
Well, I could see that because there's no reason that Saitama would not like. Okay, even if Goku's putting the business on him, it's a friendly sparring match. Saitama would not have any reason to go serious, and Goku wouldn't have any reason to even go Super Saiyan 1. Not because Saitama wouldn't be worthy of it, but because they're fucking sparring, right?
Yeah,
So it would just be two dudes who you don't really know who's gonna win until they get
yeah.
tired and both decide they want to go to the grocery store and eat something at a discount.
If you talk about Goku base form, sure. That would be a fight that's probably on equal pairing. But, like, if he went to Super Saiyan, I don't even know if that fight would be even equal anymore. But, I mean but base form, definitely. They will go back and forth and spar and do massive damage because they both can do massive damage in base form.
Yes. Now, based on what some of the comics say, Saitama could probably go against Super Saiyan 3, but again, the fight probably wouldn't even get that far, especially considering the fact that Super Saiyan 3 is for if Goku feels like you're a threat to not just the Earth, but the entire galaxy, right? It's not
Yes.
for some guy that he just met at the grocery store who happens to be super strong. It's not for that.
True.
But yeah, so I think narratively there is no winner in that one. But
Yeah, I
Goku
know.
versus Luffy, I find this one to be interesting. I don't see this matchup often, but I see it often enough.
Goku versus Luffy?
Yeah,
Well, you know they had that crossover, so you can actually
yeah,
have source material to say how they would actually fare. They actually fared pretty well. So
Yeah, some people don't consider that canon. I don't think the creators themselves consider it canon, but the thing is, it's out there. I mean,
well, they
we
made
can
it. I mean,
they
it's
made
out
it, so
there.
it's like,
It's
I
the
mean,
Toriko, Dragon Ball, and
mhm,
Goku, Dragon Ball, Toriko, and One Piece crossover.
yeah, and I mean, okay. Here's the thing: people say, "Well, but Goku's planetary." Yes, but is he going to use planetary strength on Luffy? No.
No. And then in that fight, they did uh, a Saiyan bomb, but then Luffy also did his finishing move at the same time. So like Luffy's always had destructive power. Uh, to be, let's see, universal threat, or is he more like
I don't know, because with Gear
street
5, it's
level?
kinda like he's
No,
definitely
he
not street
destroyed an
level
entire
anymore.
island, so he's at
Yeah.
least island level. So yeah, because he Wano was completely destroyed. The entire
Yes.
area was wrecked, and he also wrecked Dressrosa. So like, yeah, most characters are actually island level in One
Least
Piece.
of the I was about to say, at least of the Dragon Ball characters when they're, like, just starting out to fight. And the thing
Yeah.
is, a fight with Goku wouldn't escalate beyond that because Goku and like they're two minds of the same kind. They don't get lethal unless they have a reason to. Luffy's not gonna go. He might go gear 2. He might go gear 2 or gear 3. Goku might like power up a little bit, but ultimately you're not getting gear 5. Well, actually, you might get gear 5 Luffy in a sparring sense because I forgot that he's done that before. So you
Yes.
Luffy might end up going gear 5, and Goku might like maybe go because he can do this. He can go like false Super Saiyan or something like that. But I just don't see that fight escalating beyond that. Just because both characters kind of have to lose control a little bit to exercise their full power, you know?
Yes.
You
I
know.
agree.
But ultimately Goku is just taking like if it escalates beyond false Super Saiyan, Goku's taking it without question. Well,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, no, because even
Because
no,
Gear
because
5
the
really messes up the rules there.
yes, but like if you do Gear 5 Sun God Nika, one, it doesn't last forever. Second, and even if it messes it up, I think it's like this is why I look at it. If Dragon Ball can fight the dragon that grants all the wishes from the Death Balls, I think that the dragon that Luffy faced with Kaido, and at least in Shiran, was more powerful. So like I'm gonna have to give it to
Right.
Shiran in that category for his base form being applied at what we saw. So like Goku would probably take it over Luffy in that case.
Yeah.
'Cause there's
I
just
mean,
too
he
much
would, but
limitation on Luffy when he has
yeah,
a
there is. It's just
drawn
not a
out battle.
right. It's just not an immediate stomp. It's more like again, a fight that drags out a little bit and then ultimately
Yes.
one clearly overpowers the other, but it's not an immediate stomp.
Yeah, the fight of nutrition, Goku will win because
Yes.
he's greatly surpassed other people fighting for long periods of time, and Luffy has a
Yes.
limit, so
Luffy versus Deku.
ooh,
Yeah,
let's
I told you it
see.
was escalating.
Nah, maybe. Um, Deku has his own limitations. Luffy surpassed that greatly
You know what? You got a point. You do have a point. And this
because
this kind of is an unfair matchup because to be fair, Nami could probably solo, but that in the beginning, anyways, Nami could solo.
Nami can solo against Deku. Deku can outmatch Nami. It's the fighting taijutsu capability that Deku has would stomp Nami.
I'm
Luffy,
talking
huh?
early stage Deku is getting mollywopped by Nami now,
Oh,
not early stage Nami.
I don't know. I think that's a hot take.
Okay, come on, think
I
about it.
think
Okay,
that's a hot
matter of
take.
fact, I was about to say, fuck the Luffy versus Deku. Let's talk about modern Nami versus early stage Deku. And let's think about this for a second, right? Now, Nami has Zeus at her belt on her belt, and that's not even considering the fact that she has shown that she is reactive, at least on Usopp's level, which is a pretty high level right now. And early stage Deku couldn't use his quirk without extreme damage. So if Nami if Nami unleashes the storm early and Deku can't get to her early enough, it's a stomp. I'm sorry. He might be able to
Uh,
do something, but again,
okay, so you're talking
and
about
this is
base
not even
form Deku versus an advanced form Nami. Okay, well, first of all,
Nami
the
now.
climate attack, the cl the climate attack will be a very effective. Zeus is very powerful. The weather eggs does a lot for Nami's fighting potential, other than the weather potentially outsmarting him before you can get to him. But at the same time, there's enough power. Well, actually, no, there's not enough power for smash attack to break the climate. So I don't know. It might Nami could pull it off if she brings a lucky enough strike and enough voltage to knock him out. Because
Right.
that
But of
lightning is
course
pretty
Deku,
extreme as wild lightning, so he has nothing to combat
yeah.
that.
And then I mean, I kind of want to say that Deku would probably win if he is able to blitz all that and get close to her. The only problem is Nami has taken hits from like ulti and stuff, so I can't really say that definitively either.
I mean, yeah, she can take hits, but like she has the what's weird about Nami is that she she has taken a lot of hits that normal characters would pass out, but she
Yeah,
also has a great agility factor to run away from battle. So like she pretty much avoids most attacks, and even if she is attacked, she's really a mid-range to long-distance fighter, which works out to her advantage
right. Because
to outmaneuver her opponents.
if she gets knocked back, that's it for the opponent. Just like with Usopp, it's like don't knock them back because now they have a little bit of time to prepare something.
Exactly, and at the same time, Deku is a close-range fighter, so it's pretty easy to eliminate the gap with close range to get to long distance.
Right. I mean, I feel like Deku, yeah, early stage Deku's close range, mid stage is kind of it just depends. But I mean, early stage Deku and late stage Nami is a debate for another time because you could really go all day on that. And I feel like that
Yeah,
could
there's
be
a
an
lot to
episode in
actually
and of
do there.
itself.
Because they're not
Okay. Okay.
necessarily powered individuals like that. They're mostly like similar, but you have like strategic mindset with a
Yes.
weather-based attack that he doesn't do well with, but you also have he can fight, but she can take hits, but she can also avoid hits
Yep.
because he's
And
not
also,
that fast.
it's not like
Yeah.
she's endlessly durable. If she gets hit enough times, she
Yeah.
will pass out. But the problem is you'd have to hit her at least 3 times, and if Deku breaks 2 of his limbs and like a
Yeah.
foot, he's gonna be useless. And if she gets back up, that's it.
Yeah. So, I don't know where that take came from, but okay.
You'd be surprised the lengths we go to on this podcast.
I see.
Let's talk about the Viltrumites versus the Saiyans.
Ultraminds versus the Saiyans. Okay. Invincible versus Dragon Ball. Let's see. Huh. Well, let's see. Vegetamites are like a parody on Superman. The Saiyans are like Superman, but they're totally different alien race. Um, hmm. Well, this is what I gotta say. The Viltrumites will win just for the simple fact there's more of them than the Saiyans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I mean, some people bring up, well, Vegeta destroyed a planet with 2 fingers. You got to consider you're dealing with high class fighter Saiyans. High class fighter Saiyans.
But you do realize that MC's main dad went to another dimension, flew around, killed everybody on that planet, and he did it solo, and then came back.
Right. Which Viltrumites can also do, you know. It's just it depends on how fast the fight escalates. Again, who escalates the fight slower? I personally think
Unfortunately,
that
Viltrumites are more. They have more numbers. They have more fighting experience,
yeah,
and the Saiyans in the current base form don't have the civilization to counteract the numbers to the Viltrumites. So, I mean,
yeah,
unfortunately, I think the Viltrumites will win
yeah.
because they're more like Superman than Goku is like Superman.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because you have to think about too the fact that Viltrumites are just more outwardly aggressive. Like a
Yes.
Saiyan will at least look at you and get smug and they'll tease, but if you piss off a Viltrumite, them eyes are going red and you're probably going to get like a chop through your spleen like immediately.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the
Viltrumites
aggressive
take it.
nature, yeah, Viltrumites take it, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, to conclude this section, I'll just wrap it up with Stan Lee's take on power scaling, and that's that the person who wins is the person the writer wants to win. So even our theories could be wrong depending on how the authors of these franchises want their characters to be portrayed. You know, if Sonic is faster than Goku based on your little math, death battle or whatever, fine. But if Toyotaro and Sega, get together and they huddle and they agree that Goku runs laps around Sonic, then guess what? He's slower, and there's nothing we can do about it. And if you're one of those people who think the author is wrong for scaling their characters a certain way, Indeed is a free application that allows you to apply for jobs instantly. Just saying.
Yes.
But yeah, this section actually went longer than I planned. So we're actually going to go ahead and take a groove break. And then we're going to come back and talk about, we're going to talk some of the wild fan theories I've seen. And then we're also
Gosh.
going to talk about this sub versus dub supremacy.
Ah, yes.
And then we're going to
Yes.
wrap up with a brief conversation on media literacy. It's going to be a discussion you don't want to miss. You're watching What's Going On with Dapper Don. Stay tuned. You're tuned in to What's Going On with Dapper Don. Don't touch that dial. And we're back. For those of you just now tuning in, we improved power scaling by an exponential degree, and now we're going to debunk some of the more dumbass fan theories, to say the least.
Yes. I've done
So
a
let's
lot
talk
of
about. Go
I
ahead.
did a fan theory episode recently, and
Mhm.
it wasn't as powerful as this one, but we went into like the logic of fan theories, so it was kind of
Okay.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
I think that this is gonna be a great part. Sometimes people can watch a show and they come to realistic conclusions based on what the story is telling them, and
Mm-hmm.
other times people think Crocodile is secretly Luffy's mother. By the way, if
Yeah.
that turns out to be canon in the future, don't come for the show, okay? Even you have to admit that that theory sounds ridiculous.
I
Anywho,
mean, unless Landcraft actually made him male for female, so that's always possible. That's
yeah,
where
but
that
come
theory
on,
lies.
come on. But it's like they make the theory and then they make it like Crocodile wouldn't know that he had a kid named Luffy, even though he was pregnant with him. That doesn't make any sense. But we'll move on. We'll move on. Um, let's talk about. Let's start a little bit. I guess simple, something that's easy. That's an easy yes or
Yes.
no. The fact that fans say that Goku and Frieza's first fight actually took 5 minutes, and we were just seeing it in slow mo.
Oh gosh, I've heard this one. Um, let's see. I don't believe it's necessarily only 5 minutes. I think the progression of time was a little bit longer than that because of
Mm-hmm.
the fact that the progression of you have the fight. You can easily say that fight was probably 2 to 5 hours in their time for the simple
Yeah.
fact it became nighttime, it became daytime. It it
Yep.
was way extended longer, and that 2 to 5 is just a short estimate. It could even be longer.
Well, okay. For one, part of the whole Goku fighting Frieza thing was the fact that people were surprised that Goku could last that long against Frieza. Well, that wouldn't be impressive at 5 minutes, but it would be at 2 fucking hours.
And also, unfortunately, the time passage in an anime is pretty easy to figure out for the simple fact, what is it like in the daytime and the nighttime? Is the nighttime
Yep.
going to night from daytime? Like, you can easily say the time frame from that.
Yeah. And then another thing to consider too is the fact that people base this theory off of what they saw when, during the superhero movie, they showed Trunks' fight with Frieza that took only 5 seconds. But then you have to consider that Trunks was so much vastly more powerful than Frieza, who not only was below Goku at that point, but who was also injured, that yes, it probably did take 5 seconds for him to chop up Frieza. Doesn't mean that that's how all Dragon Ball fights go.
I mean, also, unfortunately, I really think the time that the creator puts in these fights is so unrealistic that it doesn't make any sense, which
Yeah,
creates these theories in the first place. So, like, if you take universal time and the writer's opinion, well, here's the thing. The writer's opinion is going to be whatever the writer wrote for
yes.
continuity, but his continuity errors every single time they write Dragon Ball. So, like, you can't take it
Oh,
all serious.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. It's literally just The only thing that you can take seriously is the fact that somebody, Goku or somebody, is gonna win the fight, and they're gonna move on to the next episode. That's the only thing that you can take relatively
Yes.
seriously.
The timing of the fight and how long it actually could take or it should take has not mattered because the simple fact is so drawn out. The time
Yeah,
is not relevant anymore.
no, and I mean they use that to kind of try and make it a speed feat, but the problem is in Dragon Ball, most people they're like very relative in speed and reaction time. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fight at all. So it really doesn't matter in that sense.
Well, yeah, the only speed that you can really go is travel between planets,
Yeah.
reliably in Dragon Ball. Uh,
Okay. Let's move on to One Piece real quick. This one's not such a ridiculous theory, but I want to get your thoughts on it.
okay.
Uh, there's the theory that Blackbeard is the final boss in One Piece, and he'll have eaten a third devil fruit by the time Luffy faces him.
Oh, yes, that theory. Huh, well, to eat a third devil fruit, that means you would have to have a third for the base form for his regular form. Here's
Yes.
the thing, I don't think he will get that power up to the point that he needs it. He already has the Quake fruit and the Dark fruit. He already has the power to nullify a fruit, and he already has a secondary power that he can use in addition when he's nullifying a fruit. So, like, I don't think he will need another one to be more powerful.
What's more
Mm,
likely is that he's found some way to combine those abilities.
yes. He left hand, right hand is literally how he fights. And you saw it
Yes.
trade with Law's fight in the Grand Horizon, and yeah, he destroyed the place.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it might be. And also, we have to consider that Blackbeard did not eat two devil fruits. He just took two powers because the dark fruit allows him to absorb people's powers. Two devil fruits still kills you no matter what. He just took two powers. It's basically like
Mm,
how Kirby can technically absorb an enemy, but he's not the enemy. He's just taking the power of the enemy.
yeah, because we never saw him actually how he takes the fruit. So like we don't really know if he has like the ability, like the main villain in My Hero Academia, to transfer the ability
Into
directly through
himself.
him or indirectly. If it's indirectly, like, hey, I could pass this power to you, but I gotta grant it to you in person, that's different. Or I take the fruit and put it back to base form and then give the fruit to somebody else. Because we don't really
Right.
know how it actually works. We just know it nullifies the power and that he can take the
Right.
power from the user.
Okay, but like, okay, when Ace died, the flame fruit
Yes.
respawned, but it didn't respawn where he was. So there would be there if we're to go based off of that in terms of the rules, then Whitebeard's devil fruit would not have respawned where he was. So Blackbeard would have had to have just taken the power. It's just that we don't see how he did it.
Well, here's the thing. He did take the power, but because when he killed him at that point, um, I guess the transition to respawn is not immediate. So it takes
Hmm.
time for like the devil fruit soul to leave the person to respawn somewhere else. So I guess the time
Okay.
period in which Blackbeard was able to take the soul from the devil fruit and transfer it to him was so linear that it didn't have enough time to respawn.
Right, right. And you know, so one thing we can definitely agree on is that he didn't like eat a second fruit because that just wouldn't make sense narratively if you say
No, because
this kills people.
yeah, the narrative is literally if you eat a second fruit, you die. So I don't think he eats it. I think he's possessing the ability. So I think he's fragmenting the actual soul. I feel
Right,
like I also honestly believe that he might not even have a soul, so he could be an exception to two devil fruits in one
mm,
body.
right,
Because if you really think about it, uh He's an incarnate from Rocky, basically
He's like,
God Valley. He's the
yeah.
predecessor to God Valley to Quebec. So like he's the main protagonist that inherited a world of his own, will a deed that's destructive, going against the world power.
Mm-hmm. Which would be very fitting. So, like, the final villain theory, I'm all on board with, because for one,
Yes.
he's the character that we know the least about. We know more now about Emu than we know about Blackbeard. And
Yes.
we thought Emu was going to be the final villain. We thought he was going to fight Blackbeard and then run up and start fighting Emu, like, after he
Yeah.
trained again. Nope, it's the other way around. We know the least about Blackbeard. Every kill he's had since Marineford has been off screen.
Yeah. Pretty much.
We don't know shit about Blackbeard right now, and that's because they're building it up for something. And you also have to consider, at the time we saw him last use his fruit, it wasn't awakened.
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't need a third devil fruit because he's not at the prime of his ability with the ones that he has.
Yeah.
It's like, for all we know, Luffy could pull up to fight him and then he breaks out a freaking dark god form that we didn't
Yep.
even know existed.
But here's the
So
thing.
like,
Blackbeard will also be the final villain because he's not going to get directly involved with the Emu war that Luffy is starting.
no. So he's not going to be injured, which is another
No.
thing that's like it's going to play a big part in, is the fact that Luffy's probably going to be heavily injured. You know, Loki's probably going to be either heavily injured or dead, and it's going to be Luffy and Blackbeard because the Straw Hats can't really face Emu like that. I mean, sure, they can piss him off, but they can't face him like that.
It's also the fact that I don't think Blackbeard will get involved in that fight for the simple fact it's too easy for him to get involved.
Yeah.
There's always too many people at play. I also feel like he doesn't want to go directly against the top government like Emu. I also
No,
feel like he will lose against Emu, really.
I do too. And the thing you have to consider about Blackbeard is that he's conniving because of the fact that his devil fruit, the first devil fruit
Yeah.
he ate, it didn't like, it's supposed to be a Logia, but he doesn't turn into darkness. So
Yes.
he takes every hit, which means that opponents he fights, he has to be strategic with. He can't just
Yeah.
go and run in because he has a powerful devil fruit, because if he gets hit, he'll be down for a minute.
Yeah. And also with Emu, I feel like uh he's also that type of person who will never show up someone who's more powerful than him.
Right.
Point blank.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, I agree that he's the final villain, but a third devil fruit just seems unnecessary. And plus, what the fuck would it even be? He already has darkness and quakes. I think that's enough to be a good opponent to Luffy, who
Yeah.
can alter, who's like also a force of nature that can alter the ground around him. It's like, I think that's enough. Um,
True.
People also have been another One Piece fan theory. People have also been saying that Shanks and Luffy will have a fight at some point. I don't know about if I believe that, but I do believe that Luffy might fight his twin brother at some point.
Um, yeah, I don't
Thinking he's Shanks.
necessarily think that Shanks and Luffy will fight. I think they're gonna be fighting more on the scenes of going for the One Piece, going for Laugh Tale, because Shanks
Mm-hmm.
already knows what it was, so he
Right.
could already perceive his knowledge. Instead of like Whiteboard, he knew it but didn't pursue it. Shanks is ready to pursue it, following, I guess, his mentor. So that will probably be the main fight. So I don't think it'll be like it'll probably be a direct fight in the final battle at Laugh Tale, not right now.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that they're gonna fight, but I think that if we're talking about Luffy fighting Shanks, like, coming up, that's not gonna be
Yeah.
Shanks. I feel like that's gonna be Shamrocks, but Luffy's gonna think that he's Shanks at first, and
Yeah.
then he's gonna realize that it's Shanks' twin brother. Then he's gonna be like, okay, where is Shanks actually from? And then maybe, maybe we'll start getting in more into Shanks's more than we've been. And then, by the time they get to Laugh Tale,
Yeah.
Luffy's view on Shanks is so nuanced that, yeah, they probably would fight, but it still wouldn't be a fight to the death. It'd be more like a prove yourself, because that's been Luffy's whole thing, is proving himself. So Shanks would be like, dude, prove yourself, because I'm going to fight
Yeah.
you. I'm not going to hold back. So show me what you got.
True. Uh, it's just be interesting to see what it is, though.
Yeah. I mean, I know people love a good betrayal story, but One Piece saves their betrayals for very significant plot points. They don't just throw them out casually, and they usually hint to them.
And it also might be to the point like that Shanks feels like I also feel like their fight could be like symbolic and like passing the torch to Luffy
Mm-hmm.
to actually get the One Piece over Shanks. I don't think he
Right.
will directly defeat Shanks. I think like there might be like a strategic battle that Shanks would retreat out of respect for
Right.
Luffy, and
I don't even
Shanks
know
would
if it
still
would.
survive.
Right. I don't even know if it would even be that, because okay, like My Hero is a good example of this trope.
Yeah.
Like Deku and All Might have fought before. Deku's never directly beat All Might, but the torch was passed. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
Yeah.
it
It's the
so I think it
acknowledgement
might
that
be something like
you're
that.
better than me, but, like, I can still beat you up.
Right. Right, exactly. It's like I could still post, do some damage to you, but you've proven. And it's probably gonna be I wouldn't even be surprised if Oda made Luffy have to prove himself in a different way than being more powerful than Shanks.
True. I think it has to be conviction. I
Yeah.
feel like Shanks only got involved because he doesn't believe fully in Luffy's conviction to be the One Piece. I
Yeah.
think that's why he got involved. It's just to test Luffy, see if he's actually willing to do it, or if he can't, then he does it.
Exactly. Exactly. Basically, if we're to believe the manga hints and everything like that, there's already a plan in motion that Shanks was working to try and change the world. So if Luffy can't do it, then he's going to do it regardless. So that may be what they come to contention on.
Yeah. So, but
Um
yeah, that's what I
how
think. They're gonna pass the
yeah,
torch, and then they're gonna either inherit or duke it out. But I don't think they're gonna duke it out directly like that. They're gonna spar through the conviction. But if Luffy impresses him in the fight, like a small match does, then you can say, okay, well, you can have it, something like that.
exactly. Exactly. And it's probably going to be in like a ridiculous comedic way where like the fight's ending and they're all huffing and puffing, and then all of a sudden you get to and then Shanks is just like, "Oh, well, I'm tired. You can have it. I mean, I could go on, but you can have it. I don't care."
Yeah.
Um and then it's going to be like a thing where they all react in a certain way, and then whatever. But how about let's go to this one, the theory that All
Hmm.
For One is Deku's father. Do you think that has any merit to it?
All for one is Deku's father. I don't know. They put that in the doctor, and like I remember seeing that they think that the doctor that Deku assigned stole his quirk that was connected to One for One and all this other stuff. But like him being the father, being the missing father, I don't think there's enough merit for that. I really just think it's weak.
Well, for one, narratively, it's too easy. Like that's something
Yeah.
that you might expect to see in like an old American movie or something like that. That's not really necessarily something that I think that something trying to appeal to modern audiences would pull, because it's a
Yeah.
trope. It's literally a
Yeah.
trope. The villain father was a thing in Star Wars,
Yeah. I mean,
which
Dad for
you know,
one is unconfirmed. It's
yes,
also based on Deku's absent father. They speculate
right.
All For One manipulated Inko or used the abilities to hide his identity. But like, also, I also think that All For One has been such a powerful player and has this longevity factor for so long that there's no way he's Deku's father. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would
No,
Deku have the father for All For One? If that was the case, then One For All would not even be a thing past the Deku if he that was the case.
Right, and the whole point of My Hero, because narratively it makes it weaker, right? Because now,
Yeah,
if that theory is canon, then now nobody in that world can survive without a quirk. But instead, he's born without a quirk and gets one through hard work. That's a way more compelling narrative than he also had one and it got taken away. Now his life is harder. It's like, come on, like that's not a good story. That's not a good. It's just not a good story. A lot of these theories fall apart because they're not good stories.
and most of the thing, because it's all for one, and then one for all as the counter for all for one, it doesn't make any sense that he's the father because he's gonna keep a close eye on his child if that's the case. He's not
Yep.
gonna let his own son get the power to defeat him. Like, it's not like the son inherit the power to defeat him in the first place and be the
Right.
savior. That's not the
And the
case.
And the whole point of people like Dabi and Shigaraki and all that stuff is that All for One was trying to find someone to inherit his will. If he had a son, who do you think he's going to make him inherit his will? Oh, I don't
Exactly.
know. The son.
Like, no. It's so obscenely false that it's hilarious.
Right. Like it doesn't make any sense. Why okay, so All for One just has this random son running around with the power to defeat him, and then he goes and gets Tenko Shigaraki instead of his own son, who would be a more logical fit to inherit his power. Like, come on, this just doesn't make any sense. It makes
Yeah.
none of it. Just that it's not a good story. It's not a good story at all. Nothing about it is a
No,
good
it's not.
story.
I don't think it is. And yeah, and also if you even hinted at it, I still won't even be interested in it because it just takes away from what really the hype was.
Yeah, it does. But now I want to get into, because this section is going to be a very interesting thing. The sub versus dub debate. Now, I'm not going to go into the historical spiel about where the debate first sprang from, and it's been a debate for so long that I don't know if anybody really cares. And I'm not a historian, I'm a chaos demon, so we're just going to get
Uh-huh.
into it. What format do
Okay.
you think is superior and why?
Oh, dub with a sub?
Mhm.
Let's see. Alright, so I'm a bit of both. So my theory for that is Naruto. I started watching it in dub. When the dub stopped finishing, I start watching the sub. Then I got
Right.
so caught up in the sub that I start reading the manga and sub. So and then it's weird because at the same time, I would watch it in sub, but when it got to the point to watch back in dub, I didn't rewatch back in dub. I just kept watching in sub. Uh, so I've always been like sub and dub. If the dub came first, I watched it in dub first. And then when I ran out of content to watch in dub, I watched in sub.
Right.
But
I mean,
majority of the
that's
time,
yeah.
I don't have that introduction. It's usually just in sub. So I don't usually wait long enough for the dub to be like long enough to watch because the dub is not long enough for me to watch like that. The only
Right.
show that I did that with was Pokemon with
Which
dub.
is
I've
that
always
has to be
watched
have been a
Pokemon
long
in dub. That's the
right, that
only
has
one
to
I
have been a
actually
long time
watched
ago.
in dub so much that the fact I watched the sub, but then watched the dub episode as well. That's the only show I did that
Right,
because I
right.
really like Pokemon dub. I mean, I grew up with Pokemon dub. That's the only reason why.
So there's not a particular one that you think portrays the author's intent better?
Um, well, if you talk about intent, then I would say that the sub gives the intent better because the hidden meanings with like Kantana and Kanji and Hiranara in Japanese script is so subtle, they can change
Mhm.
meaning quick.
Oh. You know what? That
So
is
I feel
true.
like sub is better because there's so many phonetic soundings that Japanese could have, and they're so different than the English translation that it's sometimes better to go back to the original translation, and it's
Mhm.
always mistranslated slightly or all the way.
Right, I know that banter is a big one that gets mistranslated, like, when you have 2 rival
Mhm.
characters,
Yep.
in English makes their dialogue just sound downright spiteful, but in Japanese,
Yes.
it's playful because they're not trying to kill each other anymore, they're just trash talking.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that, I definitely get that. What I have here is a couple of examples, um,
Mhm.
that I kinda wanna, um, get your opinion on just 'cause I
Sure.
feel like if we hear it, maybe there'll be some, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna share my screen really quickly.
Mhm.
Just gonna have to open. I'm just give me 1 second. This, no, I don't. That, just open the link. Okay,
Alright.
okay, all right. Can you see it?
Whitebeard's
Yes.
unconscious. The man's done. You could nudge him with your pinky and roll over like a domino.
It's not you, Teach. No way! He's still alive! The man that Gold D. Roger was waiting for. It's not you, Teach. Not a damn chance. Huh? Just as there are people out there who inherited Roger's will, soon enough, someone will carry on in Ace's name as well. You may try to destroy their spirit, but you will never extinguish their flame. So it has been, and so it shall continue to be from now till the very end of time. And one day in the future, when we're all dead and gone, someone will arise carrying generations upon generations of our history on his shoulders, and he'll throw down the gauntlet in front of the entire world. Sengoku, you and the government know what's coming. A war that will embroil the seas far and wide. That's why you're so afraid, though nothing you do will stop it. I've no interest in it myself. But someday that treasure will turn this world upside down. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure that someone will find it. Whether you like it or not, that day will come soon. The One Piece! The One Piece is real!
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, I mean, there's something dubs that I think the One Piece dub is really good because it's so different in voices, it's actually, like, portrayed in a way that's different.
Right.
You heard
Right.
every
No.
single
Yeah, I get you.
voice, but at the same time, every voice was distinct, and
Right.
it
Right.
actually stems up the characters. So if they do that and actually make it sound like a a literary of voices, then yeah, you can do it right.
Yeah. And I think that the thing about this is that's so compelling. People hate on the One Piece dub all the time, but this, Robin's I Want to Live, and everything like that has such a good vocal range that the only reason I feel like you have for hating the dub is that it doesn't come out fast enough. Is like
Yeah, but the
that's the
One
only
Piece
real valid
dub,
reason.
yeah, because I didn't really watch the One Piece dub as much, but, like, there was merit when I saw clips for the One Piece dub, especially,
Yes.
what's it, 4Kids?
Funimations.
No, Funimation and 4Kids was I mean, the 4Kids is why people hate on the One Piece dub, but the Funimation, when they took over, was awesome, and
Yes.
also here's the thing, Funimation dub, before they merged with Crunchyroll, was actually really well. They put a
Yes.
lot of I've had the interview from Son Goku on the podcast, and that was Stephanie McDonaghy for Son
Yeah, I
Goku
saw.
in the early versions. So, like, the Fanimation dub put so much great effort and, I had a great interview with her that it literally is the range of voice and the dedication that I mean, there is good actors over here. You know, we had like Victor and all that, but that's super controversial for something totally different. But
Yes.
overall, we have a good range of actors, but most people don't like all dub because we have the same actors all the
I was about to
time.
say Chris Sabat being in every fucking thing probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean,
He was even in Free
unfortunately,
Ren.
yeah, we have a limited uh range of voice actors because of that. But we have so many voice actors that they seek out that we actually have a market for it. But she also explained that the market is different because one, you don't have to go on set anymore. Now you can be hybrid and send you clips. And you can do
Mhm.
it via session. So you have the studio and the hybrid session that make it so much easier to do it. So that's why I liked her as a dub episode when I talked to her as a voice actor.
Right. I do
So,
want to bring up an example of a sub that kind of impressed me, though. This one
uh-huh.
is for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You know that 7-page hoe out scene.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That'd be
So I'm
nice.
going to share my screen for that one. And yeah, you know the dub does a really good job with it, but I just
じっとしてれば見もしないって言ったくせに。
自分を知れ。そんな美味しい話があると思うのか。お前のような人間に。
なんてひどい野郎。
Yeah.
Here it comes. So I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna stop it right there before I start before I nut. So
Yes.
one thing
That's
I
his
noticed
piece. That's his peak right there. And
I
I've
mean, that
seen
was too
videos. They take the script from JoJo, put it to someone else, and then someone else tried to implement it, and it was like an just script by voice actors doing these pieces, and it's a hilarious video on Fiverr. But like that's where
yeah,
I've seen most of these clips from is from that. But
yeah.
that's a totally different video.
This is one of those situations where they're really dub and sub were equal with because you got to think, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Giorno is mad at this piece of shit. Like, this piece of shit, he just saw that this guy was like abusive and torturous, and he was everything that Giorno despised. So of course
Yeah.
the script was like, this is the most passionate fight scene. This is not Jotaro beating on Dio and then saying good grief. This is somebody who's actually pissed off using the magic system to put someone down. So let's get some passion in there. And both of
Yes.
them did such a wonderful job
Yeah.
that to be honest, that's the most visceral scream I've heard in anime yet. And mind you, I've seen some stuff from Attack on Titan, doesn't get as visceral as that. I've seen some stuff from Berserk, doesn't get as visceral as that. That is the most visceral scream that I've ever heard. And I'm very surprised the voice actor didn't come out saying that he like blew out his throat doing that.
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I was speaking with my audiobook, voice acting, when I actually had her as a character, she would sing. Well, she would sing, but she also had a singing background. But also, the screaming element in voice acting is very unique because you have to stretch out your tongue, your throat for a long period of time. You got to rehearse it multiple times, and you know, you have to get it right. Like if it's
Yep.
a scream for passion, and it's like, and you're a damsel in distress, like ah, oh, you have to get it. Yeah, I can barely do that. But like they have there's a lot of breathing exercises that go into that. So
Yeah.
the literally like that, they're just mind-boggling on your
You can't.
voice exercises by
Yes.
breathing and screaming. Like literally just nonsense phrases.
And see the thing that yeah is like that wasn't just the one that was
Yeah.
him doing that multiple times. If you have a scream for passion in any
Oh my
voice acting
gosh.
role, you need to be prepared to do that 50, 60 different times because
Yes.
everybody's gonna want something different.
And that's why they use music exercises like "Do Re Re for Me" to actually like get those high vocal transitions that they need to do those type of screen exercises.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, to kind of come back and wind down and get back into the takeaway here. Um, how about sub and dub? You guys just leave each other alone. I mean, it really doesn't matter as long as it portrays the author's intent. You know, if it's something ridiculous like I don't know, the Ghost Stories dub, which kind of really,
Oh
but
my
then
gosh. The
I mean,
locality of that was so crazy. Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
if it's something like that, then yes, maybe there's a split. Because I mean, some people find it to be funny. Some people are like, "Why did they take this property and do this?" But
I love oh
um,
my gosh.
I'm
Ghost
on the side
Stories
that
is so
finds it funny
awesome.
because it's good. It's so
Oh
good.
my gosh.
It doesn't even need an abridged because it is the abridged. Like that's
It's
how.
like the original abridged, literally.
Yes, it's the first abridged. But
Oh.
now we're going to wrap up the episode here with a brief talk on media literacy because that's what a lot of this stuff comes down to is
Mhm.
the squabble over media literacy, author's intent, all that stuff. So, what do you consider to be media literacy?
Media literacy is at least 10 different shows you watched in length and you know about them. You can
Right.
relate to other shows and just any show in general. It doesn't have to be a specific anime. Anime literacy, yes. To be more in doubt, you need at least know 30 shows.
Mhm.
But for any show literacy overall, 10 shows is a must. Because if you don't watch a lot or read a lot or have a lot of inspiration, then you're really not as literate as you should be, in my
Right.
opinion.
No. And my thing is too that a lot of people say that other people lack media literacy, but I don't even think the people that say that are very media literate because if you're really paying attention to the franchise and like really paying attention to it, you don't care what somebody else is
Yeah.
saying about it because you know the message that you took from it is the right
Yep.
one because you're literally listening to what it's telling you.
Exactly. And if
Like
you
all
pay
these
attention to it, you can engage in the literacy of that own project, and that'd be fine too. There's some people that only
yeah.
watch one show, and that's like YouTubing just for one show, dedicate the
Mhm.
entire thing, but they are media literate for that one show. They can tell you anything and everything from that one show, and you cannot prove them wrong. So that's a form
Yes.
of media literate too. It just depends on, I would say, the lack view of people thinking that you're not media literate because you only know one show. Well, I mean, what is your media literacy? Like, you can watch
Right.
so many shows and then lose media literacy that way too.
Right. See, here's the thing, right? And it's like that's a thing too, but it's like if you're truly media literate, for example, I'm not going to listen to somebody who says Luffy would topple a nation over a piece of meat because I know that Luffy has punched bad guys for a lot more compelling reasons than a piece of meat. For example, he
Exactly.
literally freed Nami from slavery and he was mad doing it. Like that wasn't over no food, that was you're not going to hurt somebody that I've come to care about, you know,
Exactly.
that sort of thing. So I'm not going to listen to somebody saying, "Oh, Luffy likes meat, therefore all of his rebellions are food based," because that's a part of his character, but it's not all of his character. Because even in Wano, it was children crying, it was his friend Kinemon begging for his help. There were a
Yep.
variety of factors that forced him into that fight with Kaido. I don't even, I don't even know if I don't remember him even wanting to fight Kaido like that at first. Before
I mean, the first scene that Ronald does was about
hmm
food. Like, he
yeah,
fought someone for lack of food, and that they put the food down, and that's why he got in a fight. But after that, he got all the attention on him because he started that fight early on. He didn't do a
yes,
good undercover, but, like, that's because it started by fight. That's a minor fight, though. So, like,
right.
not everything he did was about food. No,
No.
Sanji, though, he got in a fights just about food. Literally,
Because he's a chef.
exactly. So I would apply more to Sanji's logic because he literally got in a fight with the pasta shelf on the train going to Water 7, from Water 7 to Indy's lobby. And he literally got in a fight because the flippin' spaghetti chef insulted his cookie.
He was about to shove some. Well, first it's food and women, right? And you
Yes.
know when he was Whole Cake Island, you know when he was with his brothers, a lady made a piece of food and one of his brothers wasted it and insulted the lady. He was about to.
Yeah.
I think he was about to kill that man. And if the scene hadn't ended, he probably would have. If this was like I don't know how the One Piece live action's gonna handle that scene. They're probably gonna have that be an actual fight.
Yeah.
But it's like that's more Sanji's character.
Mhm.
And honestly, not even that, because we've seen Sanji lock in to protect other people before. It's not just been, you know what I'm saying? It's just that, you know, these characters in One Piece, there's the comedic side of a character, and then there's the locked in side of the character that usually the rest of the world perceives them as. Just like
Yep.
how, just like how Al Capone was probably a pretty funny guy, but I'm not talking to Al Capone. I'm not going anywhere near Al Capone. It's like he probably was goofy. He probably was like, you know, you could joke with him. You could probably slap him around or whatever. But I'm still not going to mess around with Al Capone because if I don't know him, then I'm not getting that side of him. That's the
But
whole
true.
point of One Piece.
Yeah, that's the main thing for media literacy too. Is like you can talk about characters if you know the show. If you've read anything on the show, you know basic information that could be contradicting someone said the wrong information. That's all you really need to know is that if someone says something incorrect, is the ability to identify, wait a second, what do you mean? I don't think that is correct. If you can
No.
identify that, that's a huge thing with misinformation and the false information campaigns. So
Yes.
there's a people and opinions with those wrongly subjected opinions that are not based in logic to the show. You know exactly that they are not doing an argument that would warrant their claims.
They're
Even with
trolling.
fan theories, it's the same thing. It's
Yes.
always based in some abstract logic from the show, but they always have at least a base of truth to why they believe it. It could be the most
Right.
extravagant idea ever, but it's at least based on logic from the canon of the show to back it up. That's what most good fan theories are. So they understand media literacy through that interpretation.
Right. And the thing about it is too, is like a lot of those people are like trolling. They're people who have heard rumors and thought, you know what, I'm gonna piss off all these people because I'm gonna funnily misunderstand their show because I think it's bad because I heard somebody else say that it was bad, and instead of
Oh my
going and watching the
gosh.
show myself, I'm just gonna mess with people who like it.
That's just like Logan Paul getting the flipping One Piece uh, TCG because he thinks it's good, but then he says pronounces Luffy's name. Instead
Mm,
of Monkey D. Luffy, he said Luffy D. Monkey.
yeah, it's them type of people. It's like, do you really wanna engage in an argument with them type of people?
Oh
That
my
would be like
gosh.
that would be like a biologist engaging in an argument with somebody who didn't pass math. It just is it's not going to be an argument that's really worth your time. And the more you know, well, what is it? What did Blackbeard say? The more you pursue your dreams, the more you'll come across fights that just aren't worth fighting. Yeah, it applies
Exactly.
here too. It applies
Yeah.
here too.
And don't, if you have these weird debates about weird hot takes, sometimes it's not worth it because you get into arguments over dumb stuff and the people are not following any logic. In any fan
No,
community, there's always illiterate people that are either ignorant, don't know what they're talking about, or they just stick to one side of the debate because they're a naysayer and only want support for this. So they're going to be biased as hell.
but those people have been around since before anime was popular in America in general. I mean, you still have people debating over Star Wars. Star Wars is a
Yes.
pretty straightforward canon, you know. I don't think there's many mysteries in Star Wars left, at least not what's been portrayed on film.
No. Not at all.
And people are still debating over the shit. That's another episode for another time.
Oh
But
my gosh,
yeah.
yes.
Do you have any final thoughts for our friends, like where they can find your podcast, where they can sort of listen and start to tune in and get obsessed like we are?
Yes. So MCMA Podcast is on podcast directories, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. I
Yep.
have a YouTube channel, so it's at MCMA Podcast, and then you can also find us on Facebook for main updates for blogs and my older content at blog MC Anime. So
Yes.
I'm on Twitter, Maison Collawn, and then Instagram is at MCMA Podcast. So, and then TikTok, of course, is also at MC Anime Podcast. So I have different people. I also have, you can find my landing page at Podmatch. That's my MC Anime Podcast. You can type that in, and if you want to be on the podcast, you can. So that's my directories to book guests. So feel free to
Absolutely.
use my landing page or Facebook blog MC Anime as my main posting page.
Oh, perfect. And yeah, that's the MC Anime Podcast, which I'll link the website for in the description. But it was great having you on, Mason.
Yeah,
That was
thank
a real
you.
great discussion.
All right, thank you. Nice to have you.
Yes. But that is all for today's show. If you like this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. My socials, and like I said, Mason's website will be linked in the description, as well as who helped put this episode together. Follow us everywhere so you don't miss a beat. And tune in next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. for an all-new What's Going On with Dapper Don. You don't want to miss what I have in store. Peace out.